statement I made about the 5-minute rule. When you see the red light come on, if you can wrap up your presentation, we will make sure that your entire written statement is included in the record. I'd like to begin by introducing our first panelist, someone I've known for some time. Mike Tully is President and CEO of Aerial Services, Inc. in Cedar Falls, Iowa. And we have on the board behind us a shot that shows some of the devastation near Cedar Falls Utility, which is also in Cedar Falls. Mike's company has been based in the Heartland for 40 years and provides aerial photography, mapping, and other geographic information services. And Mike, I know you were also located out in that North Cedar area where my brother lives. And so we're glad to have you here and look forward to your statement.
Thank you, Chairman Braley, Ranking Member Davis, and subcommittee members for inviting me to testify. My name is Mike Tully, and I am the President and CEO of Aerial Services located in Cedar Falls, Iowa. It is indeed an honor to be here to contribute to the Small Business Administration's activities in disaster assistance. Aerial Services is a professional services company that employs about 40 people and acquires aerial photography throughout this country and creates maps and other geospatial data. We provide mapping and other professional services for government and private businesses. Our business was severely impacted by the Midwest floods that occurred in June. In early June, the Cedar River crested and destroyed our office buildings, and they were in fact declared a total loss by our insurance company. Over the course of the following 6 weeks, we were able to restore some order of normalcy to the business and newly leased office space, and are currently deciding how to replace our offices. Within 1 week following the disaster, we applied with the SBA for a loan covering physical damages and economic injury totaling approximately $2.7 million. Less than 2 weeks later, the SBA called to inform us that they had processed our application and approved a loan for physical damage, but had denied any award for economic injury. The net award totaled approximately $214,000 at 4% interest to be repaid at a rate of $6,700 per month, or in about 33 months. No documentation was provided at that time to describe how the SBA calculated this amount. This seemed unreasonable and confounding considering our losses. In mid-July, we filed an appeal because our claims of economic injury had been denied. We then filed a second appeal contesting the physical damage loan amount because we felt that the valuation was unacceptably low. Then surprisingly, in late August, we were informed that a new loan amount had been approved for approximately $475,000 with much more favorable terms, 20 years at 4% interest. The loan included approximately $418,000 for physical damage, but only $57,000 for economic injury. But as with the first award, supporting documentation showing how these values were derived from our losses totaling in the millions of dollars was not included. Equally puzzling was the larger size of this loan compared to the first. Was the first award a mistake? Was the second larger award influenced by our appeals to state and federal representatives? Why only $57,000 for economic injury when we documented far more? Then as recently as last Wednesday, we learned quite by accident that because Aerial Services has been displaced, we may be eligible for a substantially different and more favorable loan. Although this sounds promising, we are disappointed that this apparently important detail was not discovered earlier, thereby avoiding what will be more delay. My recommendations for the SBA include the following. Number one, include with all notices of loan amounts the supporting documentation showing how damage assessments were derived. This will help minimize many questions and delays. Second, allow the business, especially in disaster scenarios, the freedom to use the funds with fewer restrictions. Our SBA loan includes several requirements that the money be spent only in defined ways. Our biggest need is a new building. Restrictions on how the proceeds are spent can be burdensome and counterproductive to getting the business back up and thriving. Third, when economic injury is assessed, financial measures of injury other than disruptions to cash flow should be considered. It is our understanding that economic injury determinations are based only on disruptions of cash flow. But because our revenues are mostly derived from long-term projects, our injury shows up as lost or delayed billings that may not be evident for weeks or months following the disaster. Fourth, change the disaster loan application forms so pertinent details about the business, like displacement and anticipated losses, can be flagged early on. Last, improve the responsiveness to small business concerns by facilitating rapid transfer of important business documents and applications using modern methods like email and overnight mail. And as the Deputy Administrator said, they now have a digital filing application system, which is good. This concludes my recommendations for the SBA. We are thankful that the SBA and FEMA were in Iowa. We were pleasantly surprised and quite frankly impressed that the SBA presented to us loan documents within 2 weeks. Considering the sheer number of other businesses that were impacted by this disaster, that was impressive. Although we hope to achieve a more favorable consideration from the SBA with continued communication and clarification, we are grateful for the assistance we have received and are hopeful that these recommendations will contribute to even better government and smarter business after the next disaster.